Welcome back, everybody. We're diving deep today into Mieko Kawakami's Breasts and Eggs.
Oh, this is a good one.
I know you're excited about this one. You sent it over, and I know you've got a lot to say.
Well, here.
So we're going to be looking at contemporary Japan, but through the lens of women dealing with poverty, societal expectations, some tough choices.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? She doesn't let us warm up to these ideas. She hits us right away with this image of using window size as a poverty indicator.
I highlighted that.
Yeah.
I mean, when I first read that, I was like, wait, what? How could window size be a poverty-like indicator? But then the more I thought about it, it made me think of all those subtle ways that economic realities shape our lives.
Absolutely. It goes beyond just the physical space even. It's like a limited worldview, right?
Yeah.
Smaller windows or maybe even blocked windows, cluttered windows become this symbol for a restricted life.
Yeah.
And I think it really sets the stage for how Kawakami explores the challenges these women face.
It does. And it's really apparent when we first meet Makiko. She's the protagonist's sister, a single mother working in Osaka's nightlife district, which is Shobashi.
Yeah, and the way she describes Shobashi.
Oh my gosh.
It's so vivid. You can practically smell the smoke from the restaurants.
Yes.
The grit under your fingernails.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're transported there.
It feels so real. And when I was reading about Makiko working there, I couldn't help but think back to her mother,
Yeah,
who led a very similar life.
totally.
And it just makes you wonder, is this cycle of poverty and sacrifice inevitable for some women?
It's a question that the novel brings up,
Yeah.
and I don't think it necessarily gives us easy answers. But Kawakami definitely wants us to look at those systemic issues.
For sure.
You know, the lack of support for single mothers, the limited opportunities, and then the just crushing weight of societal expectations.
And then you've got Midoriko,
Yes.
Makiko's daughter.
Right.
And she's interesting because she's like this quiet rebel.
Mhm.
You know, her mom is kind of resigned to her fate, but Midoriko is like pushing back, especially against those beauty standards.
Especially against those beauty standards.
Yeah. And her journal entries, they're just raw.
They are.
You know, she's agonizing over her period, her changing body, and it's just like so real.
Yeah. It reminds us that societal pressures affect everybody,
Yeah,
not just, the older generation, but young women too.
absolutely.
Her anxieties about her menstruation, her body image.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that I think so many young women can relate to.
Totally. And then we have our main character, the unnamed protagonist, and she's got a whole other set of issues.
He does.
She's single and she wants to be a mother, but she has this aversion to sex.
Uh-huh.
So this leads her down the path of looking into sperm donation,
Oh, yeah?
which just opens a whole other
Can worms.
ethical and emotional can of worms.
It's such a great choice by Kawakami to explore this topic.
Yeah,
Because it highlights just how difficult this path to motherhood can be.
it does,
Particularly in Japan, you have the cultural stigma surrounding sperm donation.
for sure.
You have the legal hurdles.
Right.
It's not easy.
Yeah. It's not easy at all. And I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this? On sperm donation as a path to parenthood?
Well, I think that's the genius of this novel.
Okay.
It makes you wrestle with those questions.
It does.
Doesn't take a side,
It doesn't.
but it lays it all out there and makes you think, is this ethical?
Yeah.
What does family mean? Is this a valid way to build a family?
Yeah.
It really makes you confront your preconceived notions about all of it.
And then she adds in those different perspectives on motherhood.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got Makiko, who is just hardened by her experiences.
Yeah, she sees it as this cycle of hardship almost.
Yeah. Then you've got Midoriko, who is coming of age and pushing back against these kind of romanticized notions of motherhood.
Right.
And then you've got the protagonist who sees it as a path to fulfillment.
Yeah, she's yearning for this connection
Yes.
that she feels like is missing.
And it really highlights how much our personal experiences and those cultural and societal expectations shape our views on these things.
Absolutely.
You know, there is no right way to think about this. And she really drives that point home.
And then you've got the past kind of woven in there too.
Yes.
Those memories.
The memories are so powerful in this book.
They're so vivid.
They're so sensory.
You're right back there in Osaka with her
It's like you can smell her mother's cooking.
in that tiny apartment.
It's so well done. And it's not just background noise.
No, it's not.
It really shapes her choices and desires.
Absolutely. It
Yep.
speaks to the idea that we are all shaped by where we come from.
Yes.
Whether we like it or not, those experiences become a part of us.
And then boom,
Boom.
Sengawa dies.
I know.
Her editor.
It's a gut punch.
It really is. And it's interesting because their relationship was complicated.
It was.
It wasn't always easy,
No.
but there was a deep respect there.
Mutual respect, yeah.
And so when he suddenly dies, it makes you think about how fragile life is
Totally.
and the relationships we have.
And their last encounter.
Oh my God.
With her worrying about these edits.
And him telling her to go live a little.
Live a little. It makes you really think about what matters.
It does.
Beyond deadlines and achievements.
And I think it leads us to what this book is really all about.
Which is?
That search for meaning.
Yes.
In a world that feels chaotic and uncertain.
A universal struggle, right?
And it's something she really embodies throughout this book.
She does.
Yeah.
And the journey continues.
It does.
In the second part of the book, we're going to see where she goes next after all of this.
We'll dive into that after a quick break.
Sounds good. So we left off with our protagonist facing some pretty big questions. Like, what's it all about?
Right, like what's the meaning of it all? But then part 2 of Breasts and Eggs, it fast forwards a few years. And we find her in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Successful writer now, but still grappling with some of the same dilemmas.
Yeah, some things never change.
Right. Like, she's still fixated on becoming a mother, but that aversion to sex, it's still there.
It's still there.
So sperm donation is still on the table. But this time she's approaching it with a much more, like, research-oriented mindset.
Yeah, almost like her writer brain is taken over.
Totally.
She's really diving deep into this world.
Yeah, she is.
Like researching sperm banks, donor profiles, reading blogs from donor-conceived children.
And it all starts to bleed into her writing.
It does.
Like, she goes to this symposium on donor conception.
Right.
And, she says it's for research, but you can't help but feel like she's blurring the lines.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Between her personal life and her art.
Well, and it makes you think.
Yeah.
How much of ourselves do we pour into our work?
Right.
Where's that line between, lived experience and art? And for her, it seems like a very blurry line.
Very blurry. And then to make things even more complicated.
Oh, yeah, what happens?
Naruse reappears.
Naruse.
Her high school sweetheart. Talk about baggage.
Oh, so much baggage.
Right. I mean, they had this passionate but ultimately destructive relationship.
Yeah.
And so to see them reconnect after all these years.
What did you think about that?
I thought it was fascinating because it brings up all these questions about how our past relationships inform our present ones.
It does. And their conversations.
Oh, they're so revealing.
They're so intense.
They are. You really see her vulnerability.
You do.
And I think it also connects to her aversion to sex.
You think so?
I do. I think it's rooted in this fear of getting hurt again.
That makes sense.
Naruse represents this part of her past that she's clearly still trying to work through.
Yeah. And you know what else struck me about this section?
What's that?
Kawakami brings in these bigger societal anxieties.
Oh, yeah, like when Naruse brings up the Fukushima disaster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not like a major plot point or anything.
Right.
But it adds this layer of unease.
It does. Like this feeling that even our personal struggles are playing out against this backdrop of, global uncertainty.
It's like this subtle reminder that our lives are interconnected.
They are.
And that these big events, they have ripple effects on our individual lives.
And it ties back to that theme of generational trauma that we see with Mieko and her mother.
Like these echoes from the past that keep coming back.
Right. These events that leave a lasting mark and they kind of reverberate through families and communities.
Exactly. And as the protagonist is going through all of this, figuring out sperm donation, she hits this ethical dilemma.
Ooh, yeah, a big one.
Anonymity versus openness.
Right.
Should she choose a donor that her child could contact someday, or should she keep it anonymous?
It's such a tough question.
It's such a relevant question, too.
It is, especially as more and more people are choosing donor conception.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that Kawakami doesn't give us the answer.
Right.
She presents both sides.
She does.
The child's right to know their origins versus the donor's right to privacy.
A parent's right to control the narrative of their family.
Exactly. It's messy.
It is. It's messy, and there's no easy answers.
And then you've got Onda,
the
potential donor.
Right, the guy she meets online.
Yeah.
Their interactions.
Oh, my gosh.
Not what she was expecting.
Not at all.
He's blunt.
He's a little unsettling.
He's a little unsettling.
He almost sees the whole thing as like a business transaction.
Yeah, he does.
And I think it's a wake-up call for the protagonist.
It is.
That even with the best intentions, things can go sideways.
Totally.
Especially when you're dealing with such sensitive issues.
And it's at this point that I feel like The novel's exploration of female agency really comes to the forefront.
Oh, yeah.
She's dealing with societal pressures, the loss of Sengawa, this complicated search for a donor, and you can just feel her frustration building.
Yeah, it's not just about wanting a child anymore.
Right.
It's about pushing back against all of these constraints
Yes.
that are placed on her as a woman.
And as a writer,
Yeah.
trying to find fulfillment outside of those traditional norms.
And Sengawa's death adds another layer to this.
It does.
You know, his belief in her talent
His encouragement.
becomes even more powerful now that he's gone,
Yeah, like she's carrying his legacy with her
in a way.
as she's navigating her own path.
And then you have Rika,
Yes, Rika, her friend,
another writer, single mother.
and their conversations about womanhood,
Oh, they're so real.
the challenges of balancing work and family.
Yeah, they're brutally honest with each other.
They are.
But it's in that honesty that they find support.
They do. They find solace and support.
And I think it highlights the importance of female friendship,
Absolutely.
especially when you're, going against the grain.
Going against the grain, for sure. And then there's the trip back to Osaka.
Oh,
She returns to her childhood home.
like opening a Pandora's box.
A Pandora's box of memories, good and bad.
And it's not just about revisiting the past, though.
What is it about then?
I think it's about reconciling with it.
Okay, yeah.
She has to confront those ghosts
Yeah, the poverty, the difficult relationship with her mother,
and find a way to make peace with it all.
and Kawakami's descriptions of Osaka.
Oh, they're so vivid. They're so vivid. You're right there with her, walking those streets.
Feeling the weight of history.
the weight of memory.
And then she runs into Aizawa,
Aizawa.
the man from the Donor Conception Symposium.
Yeah, remember him?
Yeah, and it's more than just a shared interest in donor conception.
There's a spark there.
There's a spark.
Like a mutual understanding.
Totally.
And their conversations. They're so intimate.
They are so intimate. There's a shared vulnerability there.
It's beautiful, but also kind of heartbreaking.
It is. It's like they're both searching for something.
A sense of belonging, maybe.
And for a brief moment, they find it in each other.
I love that scene on the harbor
Oh my God.
when Aizawa is telling her about the Voyager spacecraft.
It's such a beautiful scene.
It's this perfect blend of the personal and the cosmic.
It is.
The vastness of space against their own very human struggles.
It's this reminder that even in the face of loss and uncertainty, there's still beauty.
Still possible.
And as he's talking, you get the sense that she's on the verge of a major transformation. And that transformation you were talking about, it really takes center stage in this last part of Breasts and Eggs.
Yeah, we see her journey to motherhood really come to a head.
Literally and figuratively.
Right.
And Kawakami doesn't hold back on the realities of pregnancy.
No,
Like the physical and emotional realities.
the descriptions are so visceral,
Yeah.
sometimes a little unsettling, but always honest.
Yeah, I mean, she talks about leaking amniotic fluid, feeling like a beached whale.
Yeah, she even compares morning sickness to like a memento experience.
I love that part.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because amidst all of that, there's this sense of awe.
Yeah.
This wonder at what her body is capable of.
It's a reminder that pregnancy is this powerful, transformative process.
It is.
Even when it's messy.
Even when it's messy. And I love how she weaves humor into those experiences.
Well, me too.
Like, who compares leaking amniotic fluid to memento?
Right.
It's just so unexpected, and it makes her feel so relatable.
It does. And it's a testament to Kawakami's skill as a writer, that she can balance those moments of humor with these deeper reflections on what it means to be a mother.
Yeah. And the anxieties that come with it.
For sure.
And those anxieties are definitely there.
Oh, yeah. Especially as she gets closer to her due date.
Yeah. But I was struck by how her relationship with Midoriko changes during this time.
Oh, tell me about that.
Well, Midoriko is just so curious
Yeah.
and genuinely concerned about her aunt.
Right.
And it brings this real warmth to the story.
It
It
can.
does. They have these conversations about pregnancy, about the baby.
Yeah, it's almost like she's experiencing it vicariously through her aunt.
Totally. And asking all those questions that maybe the protagonist is too afraid to ask.
And it shows how important it is to have that support system.
Yeah.
Someone to share those fears with.
To reassure you that it's normal, even the messy stuff.
Right. And it speaks to that idea of redefining family.
Yeah.
That's so central to the novel.
It is.
The traditional family structure isn't really there.
It's not.
But these women are creating their own kind of kinship.
Their own support system.
And then the birth scene.
Oh my gosh, the birth scene.
So intense.
It's so intense.
You're right there with her.
It's almost graphic.
It's graphic, but powerful.
But powerful, yeah. You feel her pain, but you also feel her strength.
Her determination?
And then that ending
Oh, the ending.
with the protagonists, Rika and Midoriko,
This unconventional family.
that they're so connected.
It leaves you feeling hopeful.
It does.
Like there are so many ways to build a meaningful life.
Even if it doesn't look how society says it should.
Exactly. It's about finding connection and support where you least expect it.
Embracing the messiness of life and relationships.
I think that's what makes Breasts and Eggs so special.
It is. It really makes you think about these big questions.
It does. About family motherhood, the choices we make in this crazy world.
It gave me a lot to think about. What about you? What resonated with you the most?
You know what really stuck with me is just how honest this book is. Kawakami doesn't shy away from anything.
She doesn't.
The difficult topics, the uncomfortable emotions,
No.
she lays it all bare.
She does.
And she does it with such beautiful language.
Yeah, her writing is incredible.
It's almost poetic.
Even when she's talking about, a leaking diaper.
Right.
It's amazing.
She elevates the everyday.
She does.
It's really something.
So I think it's safe to say this deep dive into Breasts and Eggs has been anything but shallow.
It's one of those books that stays with you long after you finish it.
It does. It makes you think about your own life, your own relationships.
Your place in the world.
So if you haven't already, pick up a copy of Breasts and Eggs and give it a read.
You won't regret it.
And as you're reading, think about the choices these women made.
Yeah, how much were they influenced by societal pressures, by their own desires?
How much did their past experiences shape their present?
It's a question worth asking ourselves, too.
It is, and we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, jump into the conversation online.
Let us know what resonated with you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep diving deep.